Welcome to KVNU's For the People. It is Thursday, October 24th. I'm Jason Williams. We have a lot to get to today. Additional candidate spotlights coming up in hour two. We'll speak with some of the kids organizing a haunted house / spook alley in Hyde Park. They'll be joining us in hour two of today's show. But here in hour one, it's Thursday. It's 4 o'clock. It's time for this week's episode of the For the People Theater Hour with Charlie Schill joining us here in the studio. And this week, Charlie has once again brought a very special guest with him to join us here in the studio. None other than the, I'm trying to think of which
executive director.
Executive. We could do the illustrious, the infatigable.
Okay.
That definitely fits. Wendy Hassan. And Wendy, always a pleasure to have you join us. It is, we never, in fact, I was going through and kind of cleaning things up a little bit in our clock, because I know when you're in, we never have a shortage of things to talk about. And Charlie, thank you for arranging this.
No problem.
It's a pleasure. It's been a big year for the theater, as we discussed last time. Last week we had Michael Balaman, also infatigable. But he talked a bit about their program going into schools and bringing the arts to kids to basically, as Charlie put it well, I think, to entice that next generation of theater goers, to keep them interested. We're very lucky here in Cache Valley. And that's without even mentioning the students and what they do, Pickleville, all of the theater companies that are busy. But much of this, I know you're too humble to say it, but much of this centers around what you do, Wendy, and your team there, and the Eccles Theater itself.
Well, I would put us up against anyone for the quality of our facilities in Cache County, for the talent of our performers. I mean, we've talked about the kids. I mean, we just start them early, and they keep doing it. I've thought maybe we need to have a quota system where you have to watch 10 shows before you can be in a show, because everybody's so talented.
Not a bad idea.
And for the support of our sponsors and the poor audiences who support so much that happens here. I have a front row seat. That's what I have. I get to see all of this amazing work and appreciate it, and happy to be part of it.
You also get to meet the talent.
I get to meet the talent.
In most cases.
Backstage, when I'm like so nervous that if I faint, they just know to just work around me till I come back to awareness. It can be a little overwhelming.
I spoke with someone who works in theater in Salt Lake, at a famous theater in Salt Lake, the Hale Theater, and they said, that I was talking about how lucky we are here in Cache Valley when it comes to arts in general, but especially the theater. And she said, we actually are very aware of that down here in Salt Lake County. And she said, there are names and faces that are sought after from Cache Valley, but she says oftentimes we can't get them. And I said, oh no, that's too bad. Is it, what causes that? And she said, they're always busy.
They're always
performing.
Always
busy. They're never free.
I wouldn't doubt it. Not at all.
So what's going on at the Eccles?
So tomorrow we have Uptown, a celebration of Motown. We are delighted to offer something a little different than your traditional Halloween programming this time of year. If you want to come get your groove on and experience some fantastic singing and dancing from 3 amazing singers and dancers and 5 musicians, that is happening tomorrow night at the Allen Eccles at 7:30, called Uptown. But on November 6th and 7th, we have our first story musical since January of 2020, which you helped us beat the bushes. People came through. We had to raise an additional $30,000 to get it here. We did that. Had more than 20 corporate and individual donors come forward and help us raise the funds. And on November 6th, 4 huge 18-wheeler trucks, 65 traveling technicians from the Salt Lake area, and this amazing touring company. If anybody knew it went to the Salt Lake Eccles last year, not many people were able to see it because they only had 5 shows of it down there.
That's
and
right.
We will have it here, that same show, here in Cache Valley on November 6th and 7th.
That's amazing. How does one go about getting that?
we had to fight for this one.
I know you can't reveal any industry secrets that make you so successful at your job.
And we wait in line, right? So the minute that I saw this show, which is about the stranded passengers who were diverted to Gander, Newfoundland after 9/11, and this tiny community, it doubled the size of the community to take these passengers in, and they just took care of them. It's such a Cache Valley thing. As soon as I saw it, I thought, Cache Valley needs this show. And I have been chasing it ever since. We've been close on a couple of occasions, but this year we said, you got to prioritize us, and we went after it, and the stars aligned, and that's how we get it. Sometimes waiting a couple of years. But it's a major undertaking for us. It's the biggest thing. We have to strip everything out of the theater before they come. They bring all their own sets, lights, and costumes, and set. They basically bring the entire thing with them. Take about 8 hours to load it in, and then do the show.
Imagine touring as a part of a group that large. And I'm really excited about this one because, as most of our listeners know, a lot of the other days of the week we're talking politics and the elections and the news headlines. And this coming the day after the election is when
Not an accident.
This is so perfect for some of the ugliness, I think, of especially the presidential campaign that we've seen. And I've talked to a lot of people who are anxious. They're feeling they just they're uncomfortable with a lot of what they're seeing happening and being talked about and the way it's being talked about in this country. And this is just right there, sort of as like, okay, here.
Exactly.
Think about it this way instead.
When there is a crisis, this is how we take care of each other. And it's based on true stories, so all of the performers play multiple parts, including the first female captain of an American Airlines plane, the mayor of Gander, a couple who are both named Kevin, a couple who met on the flight, and relationships come together, relationships fall apart, because it was a real thing. And that's when you see this show, it's such a counterpoint to the narrative that we're hearing in politics, because it's how we actually take care of each other.
And this is, so, 9/11 changed everything and how we think about everything from getting on an airplane to how we think about our place in the world as a country. But this is one of the stories that oftentimes I think doesn't get as much attention as it should. The idea that, just the concept of 7,000 stranded people in this tiny little village for weeks, no choice but to get to know each other and learn to, interact well. And
absolutely. And to me, it's the most important story, because it is that human resilience with some incredible music, just foot stomping kind of rural celebration.
I'm really excited to see this one, and I hope others are as well. In fact, we should mention tickets are still available.
They are.
November 6th and 7th at the Eccles. Come From Away. Best Musical winning touring Broadway show hitting the Eccles the day after the election. Perfect timing. And casharts.org, again, where you can get tickets, see everything that's coming, including if Come From Away is a little big for your, what you're looking to entertain yourself with. October 30th, Warren Miller's 75 years of Warren Miller's ski movies being celebrated at the Eccles. And then, of course, later on in November, the Grand Kiev Ballet coming to town with the Snow Queen. Wendy Hassan, she is heading up the team at the Eccles, getting all of these shows into Cache Valley, keeping that theater the standard that it is for theaters across the West, not just here in Cache Valley, of course. And she's joined us here for the People Theater Hour, which continues right after this. Welcome back to KVNU's For the People Theater Hour with Charlie Schill joining us each week to talk about what you can get out and put your butt in a seat to enjoy here in Cache Valley. And there's never a shortage, especially this time of year. We take a little break in January and some of February, and then it just starts and never stops. And Charlie, I always joke with you that you don't get free weekends most of the time here.
Most of the time, that's true.
Your weekends are planned out by the theater schedules, and that does give us a chance to see some great reviews. I've read Charlie's reviews at CacheValleyDaily.com, and many times over decided, okay, fine, I'll go see that. Something that I wasn't super excited about or that I've seen a million times before, and I'll read what Charlie has to say, and he's talked me into buying a lot of tickets. Even if he's not trying to do that.
Okay, so we need to talk about that schedule. One of the things that has happened this year is that the UFOMT, the Festival Opera, has decided to move its performances into the Utah Theater. That left a big hole in the Eccles schedule. And Wendy's trying to fill it by hook or crook.
I am indeed. Thankfully, Opera and I had a good conversation early in the process. So our runway is pretty long. If we're not booking it now, it's not going to happen in summer because people have to plan their budgets and they've got to get the casting done. There's a lot of work that has to happen. So I am thrilled to announce that we have filled 5 of the 11 vacated weeks. And the one that I can tell you about, because they've announced it, is that Music Theater West will be bringing Scarlet Pimpernel July 5th to 14th.
Wow.
So we have that one announced, and I'm looking at some touring shows, looking at maybe a tribute or two. Definitely we will also have some local performances, so we will have a season in the Ellen Eccles Theater this summer.
Oh, wow.
This kind of reminds me of that summer after the pandemic, when you filled their schedule with random acts performances that were just sensational.
They were so fun and so mission driven, like things you don't usually see. And it was great, but they were bootstrapped. We did not have a lot of notice. We did not have a lot of time.
No.
None of us did. We didn't know what was
You
happening
didn't
the next
know
day.
that you'd be able to put anything on.
And also what was impressive, you didn't know if people would come.
We didn't know if people would come.
It could have been an empty theater. And
that was part of the trick. Wendy needed to get people accustomed to the fact that, yes, we'll find a place. You can put your 4 members of your family there, and we'll put 3 seats between you and everybody else in all directions.
And our ticket office manager said, if you make me space this this seating map out one more time, I will quit. But this bears mentioning. When I said I'd put our sponsors up against anybody, in the rest of the country, people were looking at the whole, and they were looking at how they could get compensation for their losses. Here we had Deloitte Hansen, we had Cache Valley Bank, we had a bunch of people come forward and say, don't look at the whole. Get back going. And how can we help you do that? We had Cache Valley Bank offered to cover the ticket prices of what our locals had done the year before. That you have an incentive to start because you don't know who's going to come, but it allowed them to get back to business. And now we are healthier than other community theater because of that. Deloitte Hansen freed up some money for us early so we could stay thinking creatively. But without that support so early on, we wouldn't be in the position we're in now. And it was great proving grounds, great training for what we're doing this next summer to be able to know we can be flexible, we can jump in and fill a hole and give everybody the breathing room that they need.
Sure. Because this is 2 weeks that normally it's just a given what's happening.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And as listeners know, if you didn't, you can listen to the podcast. We talked with Michael Ballum last week about why this is happening, and it did when Charlie first mentioned this was going to be happening. I thought, oh no, what on such short notice as well. What can be done? And here you are saying, well, a lot actually can be done with 2 weeks at the Eccles.
Yes, and thankfully, again, people are thinking ahead. They're figuring out their trajectory. They're figuring out their runway. They're making good decisions and being strategic, and that's helping all of us to thrive.
That is amazing. This is I would love, I've joked about this so many times on the show, but I would love to just be a fly on the wall in your office as you start making the phone calls and as you start planning these things out.
Never a dull moment, I tell you.
To say the least. But this, along these lines, we should point this out as well, that you've got a schedule that goes out to mid-April at the Eccles already, and you're already planning for, next year on top of this, and then you have this extra 2 weeks to fill.
Well, it's more like 6 weeks.
Sorry. It would be a full 6 weeks. And that is an opportunity, but also, I would assume, a bit of a headache.
Well, it's not what we're used to.
Sure.
But we are, again, just grateful that we have such a strong arts ecosystem and that we're able to give Utah Festival a little bit of space to reorganize and do their work. So, again, they let us know early, and they've been such good partners. They're our largest resident company, and we wish them all the best in these endeavors. We're keeping an eye on them and cheering for them.
Yeah. That's you definitely have to keep them going. And again, to the community, as we discussed last week, there are ways you can help, especially as Michael mentioned last week, if you're looking to step up as a business sponsor. They have some unique opportunities there and great advertising for your business, I might add.
Well, this Imagine campaign that they've got going on.
Pretty amazing.
Michael really didn't talk too much about the urgency, but if we lose the Festival Opera, we lose the summer citizens. If we lose the summer citizens, kiss off the economy.
Yeah.
It's gone.
It definitely puts some pressure on, because that's a summer of full restaurants and full hotels, just kind of guaranteed.
Which feeds the county restaurant and wraps tax. And if that's gone, everybody gets hurt.
Yeah. That is, something that I really hope to not see. It's, as we've discussed, the talent, I'm confident even if that happened, and hopefully never will, the hole could be filled, but that's going to take everyone. The Festival Opera is just such a big footprint in the theater community in general, and it would just be all on you, Wendy.
Well, so all the more reason, though, to have shows this summer so that we don't lose our momentum. The Summer Citizen program changed over to the Chamber leadership, and so it's vital that we still have things for them here, that we keep that seat warm. So that is one of our priorities, is to make sure that there is stuff for the summer citizens to do and see in summer 2025.
And that's what we're talking about here today. Looking ahead, summer 2025, but also running through some of the amazing shows already scheduled for the Eccles. Again, going out all the way to mid-April of next year on the calendar here. Wendy Hassan, our guest. You can buy tickets to shows at the Eccles and elsewhere through the casharts.org website. I've linked to that on our Facebook page. And Wendy joining Charlie and I for this week's episode of the For the People Theater Hour, which continues right after this look at the news with KVNU's Bill Walter. Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Continuing our conversation here with Wendy Hassan, talking about all things Eccles. Tickets available at casharts.org for any and all of the shows we discuss, and many more we won't have time for today. Also talking about a challenge thrown into Wendy and her team's lap recently with the announcement to some changes for the Utah Festival Opera next year that open up several weeks next summer that would normally not be open. And Wendy kind of describing the process of going about filling those weeks and making sure, as Wendy said, that there is something to be seen throughout July next summer for the summer citizens. And I have no doubt that will be the case, having seen what you've been able to do so far, Wendy, with, we talked during the break, even just pulling in, you made a decision to, not that you didn't have enough work already, but you made a decision to bring Broadway shows into the Eccles calendar this year, which, we've talked before about that being a pretty big lift to get that to happen, but you did it, and there's a buzz out there about this. People, we take this for granted, but it would normally be a $400 or $500 plane ticket to somewhere.
I have friends who've done that. They've flown to Chicago, seen the show, turn around and come back.
That's
or
right.
even just going to Salt Lake, if you're already a seasoned subscriber,
Sure.
because it's difficult to get into the shows. So it is our most expensive ticket, but even at that, we are subsidizing it as much as we can. When you figure we've got 65 technicians and 35 crew and all our crew and all of the work that it takes to get that done. And
See, that's unbelievable.
Isn't it wild?
Really is.
The road crew pulls in here with 4 tractor trailers, and they can't unload it.
Nope.
They need 65 additional technicians that you have to hire just to unload this show.
And they have specialties like rigging and lighting and sound that we don't have locally, so they have to be brought in from outside, and they won't open the truck till you have them all there. So
Really?
we are working hard to make those arrangements. So yeah, it's a little on the pricier side, but we hope you'll think it's worth it, especially when you compare it to what it would cost to go down and see it in a more metropolitan area.
That's it, and we can't take that for granted. Being able to see a touring Broadway show and be home in 7 minutes afterwards for your dog or your sleep or whatever it might be. That not very many communities the size of Cache Valley can say something. In fact, is there?
It's getting rarer and
none.
rarer. And we're half the seats of the Salt Lake Eccles, less than half the seats. So our traction is a little less desirable for them. But the fact that they will come and that we got not 1 but 2. So we have Come From Away, November 6 and 7, and then we've got Chicago, March 11 and 12. And that was unanticipated, but so welcome. So we're happy to be coming back strong with 2 Broadways.
I'm excited to see how Chicago plays out in Cache
Me
Valley.
too.
That's going to be a fun one.
It's risque. So, be excited to celebrate all that jazz.
That is, but you've shown that there is an audience at Ragtime last summer. That was sold out.
Well, it was a great show, and
it was amazing.
It was a Music Theater West, and it was very thoughtful, and it was well produced, and it was, it was themed with some things to grapple with, and it was such a great, brave show. I just love that they did it. So happy I got to see it.
Oh, I was amazed to see that, and I remember thinking as I saw that on the calendar first, is there an audience for that? Because this is a heavier show. This is it's got some elements.
And of course, you've got to import all your black performers in order to make that work.
Sure. And I thought, is this something that will work in Cache Valley? And it did. It was packed. And I know many people who went to see it the second night because they were so impressed. I mean, we're really lucky here.
We are.
So, you mentioned something during the break, Wendy, speaking of tickets still being available to all the Eccles shows. And this, unfortunately, is not, a Cache Valley or an Eccles thing. This is, in fact, the state legislature has been grappling with this with just concert tickets lately. But You want to stress that for those out there, and spread the word on this, buy your tickets at casharts.org.
Yes, please. Or whatever you're going to, make sure you're going to the authorized ticket seller. We've been laughing that you can go online and buy tickets for Jim Gaffigan this Sunday. He is not coming to the Ellen Eccles, but they are for sale. So please, please, please. Yeah. Usually what they'll do is they don't even buy the tickets until they've got your money, and they'll sell it at 100%. 200%, 800% markup. So make sure wherever you buy any kind of ticket that you're going to the authorized seller.
Yeah. And that really is a serious problem here in Utah, whether it's concert tickets or theater tickets. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, be very careful. Make sure it's the real deal. And if it says casharts.org on the website, it's the real deal for the Eccles.
If they're charging fees, you're not on our website. If tickets to come from away are more than $130, you're not on our website. So, run to get your tickets, but run to the right place.
That's right. We should mention that because that's another impressive thing that you do. There are the only fee, I believe, that you can possibly incur on top of the ticket price going through casharts.org is if you want a printed ticket waiting for you at will call. Mm-hmm. That's an additional $5.
Exactly.
And there's no other fee.
No, and you can bring it up on your phone. So a lot of people, more and more people are doing that too. So there's no fees. What you see is what you're paying.
Yeah. And that doesn't happen everywhere.
we insist on it. We don't want you to get to checkout and then have $75 added per ticket to your. That's so frustrating. So
looking at you, Ticketmaster.
I didn't say it.
Horrible experience every time I want to see a live band. Okay. What else? Where do we want to head next with this? I don't want to dominate here because I just talk about what I'm excited about on the calendar. Uptown, we should mention quickly with Uptown, this is, if you've never seen this type of music live, this is really fun live music.
The thing is, I've been looking at performances of Uptown on video in YouTube. They are working.
They're really good dancers.
Yeah, I mean, the choreography, the tap, the jazz is wild. It's great.
It's impressive.
You're gonna love it.
I honestly, this is a fun genre of music to see live. That classic R&B. So yeah, if you've never seen this type of thing, Uptown, the music of Motown. October 25th, again, tomorrow night, and tickets still available for that, casharts.org. And where do we want to head next? We did Orem Miller. We've talked about Come From Away and the Kiev Ballet on November 12th with the Snow Queen. You've got November 14th. This is interesting. This is, I saw Ray Bradbury at the Eccles years and years ago, and it was really fun. And you've got something kind of similar coming up with a twist, because this is a writer who has actually written a show. He's not just giving a talk like Ray Bradbury did as a writer. He's written a show around his career and his writing.
Yeah, David Sedaris is an amazing writer. He has an incredible body of work. People who listen to public radio are familiar with him on shows and giving readings. There will be books for sale, and we're partnering with the Book Table. And when I say we, this is actually coming to us from Salt Lake, from Magic Space. It's not on our touring season, but boy, is it a feather in Cache Valley's cap to have it coming here. And Book Table will have some of his books on sale. There will be a signing afterwards. It's just a little bit of star power. We're all a little bit fanboying about this one.
Oh, he's funny. Just
so funny.
Cracks me up. He's kind of, as a writer, he's kind of David Letterman-ish.
He's got this dry wit.
And it's just funny to me. And then right after that, November 23rd, you got Pickleville twice.
We have Pickleville twice for the holidays. They're going to come, load in, do their show, and then they're going to take it to the Wasatch Front, and then they're going to bring it back.
That's very cool.
I mean, they're here, so it's easier for them to tech and open here. We're delighted because we get to see them twice, which is really fun. Yeah. But it's, that's an unusual configuration, and we're super excited about it.
That is very cool. November 23rd before Thanksgiving, and then, as Wendy said, they'll be back before the Christmas holiday, December 20th through the 23rd, with Juanito Bandito and the Shootout at Jingle Junction, their original Christmas show this year.
And you don't even have to wait until November for all these fun things to happen. The Utah Opera Theater from Utah State University, is going to be performing at the Lyric Theater starting Monday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, ending on Halloween. And they're going to do The Toxic Avenger.
I am so excited to see this. I don't know if I'll like it because I've seen the movie. I've seen the movie from, was that the 80s? Or?
Yeah, it was 84, I think.
Was it? Yeah.
You know, the funny thing is, they did a director's cut of the original movie. There's been 5 Toxic Avenger movies that have been out since. But they did a director's cut of the original, and some idiot left a cameo by Marissa Tomei in that show on the cutting room floor. No. And the director put it back in finally for the director's cut. And,
how funny.
And she's hysterical just to watch her. You know, I mean, it's like her performance in My Cousin Vinny.
That is funny.
This show should be really good. Sam Titcher is going to be playing Melvin, the Toxic Avenger. Sam is great. I mean, he was in Anastasia and Elixir of Love and the Music Theater West staging of Something Rotten, and in School of Rock when CTC did it. He's got that big booming voice and that big booming personality. It's going to be funny.
I'm very intrigued on this one to see how they turn this into a musical theater production.
Well, it's a rock musical. You don't.
I think it'll
you don't have
work.
to play with that very much.
It'll work. They did it with SpongeBob. They did it with Monty Python. They can do it with Toxic Avenger.
And USU Opera has such strong voices.
Oh, yeah.
So I just can't wait. It's going to be amazing.
Impressive stuff. But you're listening to the For the People Theater Hour with Charlie Schill and this week's special guest, Wendy Hassan from Cash Arts, joining us. The Cash Center for the Arts can be found at casharts.org, where you can also buy tickets to all of these shows that we've been talking about, and honestly, make space in your life and your pocketbook if you can for Come From Away. This is a rare opportunity to get to see this Broadway production in Cache Valley, November 6th and 7th, and we've got more to talk about those, so I will shut up and we'll take our final break here on the For the People Theater Hour, which continues right after this. Welcome back to KVNU's For the People Theater Hour with Charlie Schill and special guest this week, Wendy Hassan. The Cache Valley Center for the Arts, again, can be found at cachearts.org. And this is one-stop shopping for all things Eccles and more. So just bookmark that, cachearts.org. And as Wendy has mentioned, they've had some problems recently, not just the Eccles, but this is all across the West and the United States right now. But people will sell you tickets to shows, sometimes to outright scams where the shows aren't actually happening and you're just out the money. But other times it's a show that's actually happening, but they've marked it up a good $85-$90, sometimes 100% of the ticket price. And then they go buy a ticket for you at regular price. You overpay. You get your ticket, but you paid twice and didn't need to. So for shows at the Eccles, cachearts.org, or make sure you're using an official ticket selling vendor, because sometimes the acts that come through do their own ticket selling. And is there anything else that we haven't gotten to yet?
Toxic Avenger tickets.
Whoops, sorry,
About that. Toxic Avenger tickets will be at usu.edu. So for that one, you're going to want. And I'm so glad Charlie mentioned it, because my husband, Dennis Hassan, is designing the sets and costumes for that. So it would have been bad if I had hogged all the space.
And we'll be expecting that to pay off.
Oh, yeah.
Dennis always does a great job.
I've been living with it all, so I can tell you it's going to be exciting.
We should probably talk. Not that we want to take anything away from Wendy, because she's got Motown performing tomorrow night. But at the Lionheart Hall, we've got the 5th installment of Light Switch Stories going on at the same time. And also there's a dance class being held by the Ballet Alliance Studio for kids from 6 to 18 to learn how to learn the dances and choreography from the High School Musical movies.
Oh, wow.
TV movies and theatrical movies.
Oh, that's fun.
It's going to be taught by Susanna Russell, who's one of the instructors at Ballet Aligned. It's only going to be an hour, but that should be fun for the kids, and it's free.
You have great choices. Great choices this weekend.
This is very nice.
Yeah.
This is...
we always have great choices.
It's hard to choose. What a great problem to have.
Yes, it is a great problem to have.
This is, in general, the problems that we have are probably great problems to have. Even as we've discussed the sort of complications next summer with changes to Utah Festival Opera's schedule. It's still in a way a good problem to have, because that means you'll have even more to offer Cache Valley, and theater goers will not complain about that, seeing these shows at the Eccles. But it really, I scroll through the Cache Arts ticket site sometimes, and it's so much that sometimes I'm deciding, if I don't have time for everything that's happening sometimes that week or that month, I'm trying to decide between the three. Okay, which one of these do I want to see more? That's a nice problem to have.
That's a nice problem to have.
I always would like to pop somebody in the head when I hear somebody say, "Oh, there's nothing to do here."
Oh, you're not looking.
Do they not have the internet where you are?
I hardly go out of Cache Valley anymore because I see so much here. There's just not time. There's not time to cross the mountains.
I was actually having a conversation with some friends about that. The last time I was in the Rose Wagner Theater was for a Sundance Film Festival movie. And that's not because I don't love the Rose Wagner Theater. It's a cool theater, and being on that Broadway strip in Salt Lake is fun in the nighttime in general, but I haven't needed to.
Nope.
I haven't had I've got to drive down there and see something in a big theater. I can instead drive 4 minutes from my house.
See
it at Eccles.
The only thing I ever used to leave the Valley to watch would be some of those Odyssey dance shows
Yeah.
that they used to do down at Kingsbury Hall. Our granddaughter was just absolutely fascinated, obsessed with all the hip hop and the jazz dancing they do for those. But other than that,
And now they're back here. We had them earlier this year.
yeah, but I don't know if they're going to start doing things like their Christmas show and all those kind of things again. I certainly hope they are, but I haven't heard anything about it yet.
Neither have I. We also have Nutcracker coming up here, so
Yeah.
they'll keep your dance card, literally your dance card, full.
I can't drag my granddaughter to the ballet for the Nutcracker yet anymore.
Which is funny
She won't
because
sit still for it.
when we first started doing this show, she was dragging Charlie.
Yes, absolutely.
But now she's a teenager.
Oh,
You know.
We're 13, and if it ain't on her phone, she's not interested.
That is, that actually, this is a great place as well to mention this. One thing that's very different from going to the Eccles to see something as opposed to going to the Megaplex to see something, the crowd is very respectful of that whole shut your phone off thing. If we could bring a little of that etiquette into the movie theaters.
well, and I love movies, too.
I do, too.
I love movies, and we go all the time. But there is something about the energy exchange between the people on the stage and the audience, and it feels more communal to me. It feels more like community to me.
Yeah.
I haven't been to a movie theater since March of 2020.
Really?
Wow. I go all the time.
Does that mean you haven't seen Dune?
I could watch it. I got the second part of it
it's on
sitting
HBO.
there on HBO. But nope.
Wendy, it's a pleasure to have you join us, and the frenetic pace of the Eccles it's fascinating and really kind of drives home what Charlie and I talk about each and every week, that we are so spoiled in Cache Valley. And I hope people will continue to take advantage and support everything that you can. There's no shortage of something to see any given weekend, and a good place to start looking, cachearts.org. Wendy Hassan, our guest.